Hi, Jenny. Good to see you today. How are you doing in New York?
It's fantastic here in New York, and it's wonderful to be with you again, Deirdre.
Yeah, good to see you. So, today we're doing a quick recording and we want to hear from Jennie Baird. Most of you probably remember Jenny from our summit in September in San Francisco. Jenny is leading the charge on all things ethical tech project. So, today's session, I want us to double click on what's it all about and really understand why this is important now, why we in the hive should care about this, and most importantly, how we can actually get involved and participate. So I'm going to let Jenny do most of the talking. I have lots of questions. By the way, personally, I have like a little sweet spot in my heart for ETP. Uh, I think we're all like charging ahead every day, doing our vibe coding, building as fast as humanly possible to get value out into the world with hopefully valuable products and solutions. But if we're doing it in a really ethical way, then I think it's much more meaningful and will stand the test of time. So I actually have a sweet spot in my heart for all things ETP. So Jenny, tell me, how have you been since September, since you got back from San Francisco?
I've been great since September because we've been really busy working on ethical tech and bringing it to people. And to your point, Deirdre, ethical tech is important not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's good for business. And I think it's good for all of us as builders to understand this. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is that when I was in San Francisco, I talked to so many people at Superset who were really enthusiastic about what we were doing. They wanted to learn more, they wanted to find out how they could get involved. And so I'm really glad to have this opportunity that I hope will be quick and snappy to walk people through exactly who we are, what we want to do next, and how the Hive can help. So I did draft a few slides because I'm nothing without slides, and I hope they won't be boring. So stop me and we can discuss. Here we go.
Yeah, go for it. So you bring up your slides and I'm a curious human, so I'll keep the conversation going and let's dive in. Tell us, what is ethical tech? What are you all about?
So, what we are about is really equipping engineers, designers, and product leaders, so technology builders, with the tools and skills they need to prioritize ethics, equity, and public flourishing in what they're building. This matters now more than ever because of what you were saying at the top, Deirdre, is like we are moving faster than ever. Yet, we're so involved in the day to day of what we're doing, going faster, meeting market demand, that we often don't pause or even just equip ourselves beforehand to make those decisions responsibly. So that's what we're about. And when I talk to people about this, I say really what we're trying to do is transform the tech and AI innovation ethos from move fast and break things to think first, then make things, try to make things that are better for individuals, for your business, and for society more broadly. So
Yeah, I love
we're
it.
moving faster with AI, Deirdre. We don't want to break more things.
Yeah. Just a real quick linger on that because do people who are builders, I mean, there's lots of functions within building. There's engineering, there's also product, there's founders, there's GTM humans,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So is it in the DNA of that human that just needs to be brought out? Or is it something that you really have to teach and guide along?
This is what I think as builders, we're so focused on this getting things done. And really, what happens? I'm a builder. I spent my career in product. And what do we get off on? A stakeholder, a business problem. Somebody says, can you build this? Can you do this? And we get off on like, yes, we can. We can figure that out. But we're not actually trained or equipped to say, ooh, but should I? And we're not trained or equipped to sort of push back and try and guide conversations with our stakeholders to say, like, there's other ways of approaching this, or maybe there's potential unintended consequences. So this is really about, I think we are all at core as builders and people in technology. I think at core, we're all optimists. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this industry doing what we're doing, and especially Superset, which is like so I think, really positive, hopeful, building mindset, you don't do that if you don't believe.
And
So
built
I
to
think
last.
right, and we have that in us. And what we're doing is sort of creating scaffolding at Ethical Tech to
Yep.
help people who at core have it in them, but help make it easy for them to integrate into their practice.
Love it. So talk to us about the curricula, because I know you've been working on that with Nancy and others.
Yeah. So we have three pillars at Ethical Tech, and they are educate, convene, and equip. So we developed a curriculum in partnership with industry subject matter experts that include some people at Superset, some people on our board, people that I know from my 30 years in industry, as well as with Columbia University's Digital Futures Institute. They are educators, trainers, thinking about how we adapt to the future. And the fellowship that we lead is based on this curriculum. The curriculum covers some sort of broad topics like in this picture, do artifacts have ethics? But sort of like what are harms of tech ethics or technology potential harms, but also how do you open your aperture and see unintended consequences. So I think nobody builds something with the idea that they're going to break something, but it's a way of seeing where things go wrong. So, for example, we do an exercise with the Facebook algorithm where we say, like, what was the intention of an algorithmic change? What was the business goal?
Yep.
And what were some unintended consequences? So we start there, but then we get really quickly into brass tacks, tactical things like privacy engineering, privacy by design, AI explainability, and transparency. So we really run the gamut in this curriculum.
Nice. Lots of practical tips. It's not just high level, lofty, conceptual goals. So it is very much hands on as
It's
well.
one of the things that's really differentiate because I think that right now the top universities are starting to integrate ethics programs into their CS curriculum. But
Nice.
we've trained some young people who've come out of like Princeton and Columbia where they have some of this. But a lot of it is sort of like very academic and it's not grounded in what happens to you at your job every day.
Okay. Right, let's move ahead and talk about convene, because this is like we're social animals and we like to come together in real life. So what's this
Well,
about?
this was one thing I felt very much when I was at Superset in September, which is this idea of bringing people together is so powerful. And I think one of the really big differences I note between San Francisco and New York people are like solving very tactical problems, like fintech or ad tech. And in San Francisco, I definitely got the sense that there was just an interest in exploring ideas with like-minded people, where the future is taking us. And so convene is the idea that we have that we have a community to work with. Convene is also the idea that you might know what the right thing to do is, but it's very hard to do that in practice. I always say, like, if it was easy to be ethical in all of our decisions, we would all be doing it every day, all the time. But these are complicated issues and they're fraught. So, developing a community of like minded peers who you can share with is very important. So, when you run through our fellowship, when you're in our programs, we have community, we have gatherings, we have a Slack where you can share ideas and problems with your peers.
All right. And then the final piece of it is equip. So this is again very sort of they walk away with real things they can implement.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things is that a lot of the issues around ethical tech, to be honest, are esoteric, and it's like, I understand that I want to have better privacy practices, but how do you actually do that? So we've developed the privacy stack. We have a great privacy checklist for data teams, but also non-data teams, at the business level. So it's been really important for us to take the work that we've done, whether that's original research that we're conducting at Ethical Tech Project, research that's happened in industry, and convert it into really practical tools and takeaways that people can use.
Nice. Okay, so we just have a few more points. We want to just show a little bit about the modules and the program itself. You call it the fellowship. Let's linger on that. And
So
then
this,
we want to get to the sweetest spot, which is how you can get involved.
yeah. And I don't think we have to talk through this too much because I did talk about some of these modules earlier. You can look at the slides. People read fast. The fellowship is a program that reaches early to mid-career tech and AI builders. So they're all the people Deirdre talked about before. You can be a go-to-market person, you can be a digital marketer, you can be a data scientist, a cybersecurity expert, an engineer, UX, so on. But we developed this curriculum and this program for those people to train them in these modules, in this methodology. And we have trained people from fabulous companies. And we've done this twice now. And we are hoping, especially this was by popular demand when I was in San Francisco, people said to me, how can I become an ethical tech fellow? How can I get involved in the program? And we've been talking about how we can bring this program to San Francisco. So that is, I think, the
Awesome.
next thing we want to talk about. Oh, this is just a slide, but because I wouldn't be a good.
Endorsements. It's important to get endorsements.
Yeah, so we have endorsements. People really love the program. You can ask me more about that. But really, I think what we want to get to is how you can get involved. So what I am looking for, dear, is people from Superset, from the Hive, people from San Francisco who are interested and have expertise they can share. They can become trainers in our program. So I'm doing Train the Trainer, or they can be a guest speaker in our program.
Right. Nice.
Secondly, I mean, there's a lot of experts here, I know. The second thing I'm looking for is people to help spread the word. This is very easy. So I know I will post things on the Superset Slack, but please follow Ethical Tech Project on LinkedIn. Connect our message with people in your network. That's very, very valuable to us on many levels. And then the last thing that I'm really most excited about is talking about how we can organize convenings and a fellowship program in San Francisco using the Superset office. And I am really looking for a couple of people who are committed to doing that, who can help organize. And that would be amazing.
All right. Just a couple of questions before we hang up. Um, if somebody from our Hive Portco puts their hand up to get involved, what type of commitment should they expect? So it's just so we recall, it's a 10-week program, not all in person, some virtual, half and half, interwoven, like some in person at the beginning and so on. But for one person, if they put their hand up, what's the commitment?
Okay. So there's different ways that you can participate. So if you wanted to be a fellow and apply for a fellowship because you are an early to mid-career builder, you would be expected to be at all 10 of those sessions, half in person, half remote. They are 2.5-hour sessions that happen after work hours. If you are a trainer and want to train as a trainer, you would do probably a half day or a full day training with me. And then you would come to all of those programs the same 10 weeks and facilitate the program. So those are the biggest time commitments. And they're probably the things where you get the biggest payback from. But if
Yep.
you want to be a guest speaker, I can block out a 20-minute slot for you during those 10 weeks. If you have something you want to contribute, we could just have a call and you could share your expertise with me and we can talk about how you can get involved.
That,
And then in terms of organizing events, that's the admin work. It could be a couple of hours of, doing some organizing. It could be that you really want to sit in on the fellowship and be at 5 events. But, we're talking about anywhere from a couple of hours to something like 30 to 50 hours over the course of a year.
okay. And I'm assuming they get a nice little badge that they can showcase on their LinkedIn and talk about, and they get to meet wonderful humans.
It's really great for networking. And one of the things that we've learned is what people value most is actually the community they've developed over it. But yes, we always say, put it on your LinkedIn. It's a credential for you. and it's valuable. And I will say that for many people who have volunteered with us, they like having this tool in their tool belt so that when they're out networking and talking to people, it's something that is a really good talking point now. People are
It's,
interested in this topic.
it's
So if
brag
you
worthy.
what? Yeah,
Brag
it's
worthy.
brag-worthy, but it's also a great icebreaker and conversation starter because you're aware of these issues that people, they're heady issues.
Yep.
They're
Okay.
cool. It's cool now.
I love it. Yes, I've always thought it's cool, but others just haven't figured it out.
People are definitely figuring out. You're seeing a lot more of this happening
Interest.
now, and I think there's gonna be a lot more activity, and I do think it's a differentiator for business, and for business people to know how to do this the right way. It
Yeah.
really helps mitigate risk in your company, and I think it could create new markets and new market opportunities.
Love it. Thank you for sharing with us today and calling in from New York. And lovely to see your happy face again. And I'll share this with the whole hive. And we look forward to getting responses.
Super. Thank you, Deirdre, and thank you, Hive. Take
Thank you.
care.